Hello everybody and welcome back to the planetarium. My name is Jonathan and this week I'm here to talk to you about the recent SpaceX launch to the International Space Station. But before we get started with the video, I want to say that this video, as well as other digital content by the Besser Museum Planetarium, is made possible by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, as well as the National Endowment for the Arts. Thank you. Well, astronomers, today we are talking about the recent SpaceX launch to the International Space Station and what makes it so significant, well, to all of us. First of which you've probably already heard about is that this is the first manned launch from U.S. soil since 2011. That means it's been almost an entire decade since we last launched men into space from the United States. That happened when the United States Space Shuttle program was coming to an end. And since that time, there hasn't been an actual replacement for us. So we've had to rely on our Russian counterparts to get us to and from the International Space Station. Having to rely on the Russians has been decent, but it's also been rather expensive. You see, every single time we wanted to launch into space, we've had to fly our astronauts all the way over to Kazakhstan and have them launch into space with the Russian Space Agency. This program, having us use the Russians, was honestly rather expensive. Most recent budget analysis put the price per seat at $85 million. Again, that's not per launch, that's per astronaut, per launch itself. And since we usually launch 2 astronauts up to the International Space Station, you can see how that would get really expensive really quick. Now, SpaceX's Dragon capsule is a lot cheaper. Well, about $30 million cheaper. It still costs about $55 million per seat on the Dragon capsule, but if we compare that price to other United States budget programs, such as the military's F-35 strike fighter, we can see that the price isn't so bad, as one of those strike fighter jets costs about $100 million each, which means that each and every time we launch up into outer space, we're saving about $60 million, or a little bit over half of an F-35 strike fighter. While being cheaper, the Dragon capsule is also a bit more technologically advanced than the Soyuz spacecraft is, that being the primary Russian capsule used for launching astronauts to and from the ISS. The SpaceX Dragon capsule is pretty incredible, primarily because it's actually reusable. The Dragon capsule, unlike the Soyuz, like I said, is reusable, which means that after several launches, we can still use the same exact capsule. Unlike the Soyuz, which had to be completely remade from scratch after each and every launch, which is part of what made it so expensive. On top of that, the rocket actually launching the Dragon capsule, the Falcon 9, is reusable as well, which is just incredible considering rockets up to this point are pretty much one-time use. The rocket propels the Dragon capsule into space and then comes back down and lands vertically on a platform. If you haven't seen this, I would recommend checking out footage online. It looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's incredible. On top of being reusable, the Dragon capsule can actually carry more astronauts than the Soyuz can. The maximum capacity that the Soyuz had was 3 seats, while the Dragon capsule can house up to 7 astronauts at a time. However, NASA probably won't be doing that anytime soon. Top of that, the Dragon capsule also has a little bathroom with a privacy curtain, which is just incredible and is a huge step up in terms of luxuries for the astronauts going to and from the International Space Station. This launch also signifies a new step forward for future NASA missions, which includes the Artemis space program, which, if you haven't heard, is NASA's plan to land men and women on the surface of the moon by 2024. This also includes the Gateway Space Station program, which is expected to be an International Space Station-like program that will orbit around the moon constantly, which will allow astronauts to go to and from the surface of the moon pretty regularly. It's going to be an incredible endeavor, to be honest, and is actually a step forward to another mission. You've probably heard about Elon Musk's and NASA's hopes of landing people on the surface of the Mars by the end of the decade, and this is a step forward to that, as once we have Artemis taken care of successfully, we have a nice stopping point between Earth and Mars itself. Honestly, I am really excited about all this because I honestly wasn't alive for the last moon landing, and I'm just happy that we're going to be seeing future progress of space missions within my lifetime. Alright, astronomers, that's going to cut it for this week's video. Thank you all so very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. That way you can see more of our content in the future. Until next time, though, keep your eyes on the stars. Anything you got to say to the audience about that, Minerva? She purrs contently.